Welcome everyone to WYD Rocks, a collaboration between worldut.com and WYDCentral.org. I am Dario, joined by my good friend Deacon Pedro. Hello,
Hello,
sir. How are
hello,
you?
everybody. Today on the Feast of Saint Elizabeth of Portugal.
Yes, perfect, right? Out of all days that we're talking
Perfect.
about Portugal,
After all the, is she a patron? She one of the patrons for this World Youth Day?
is
I
not,
don't know.
unfortunately. And the reason behind that is because they chose younger saints. But then again, wasn't Saint Anthony
I,
a little old? That was my
yeah,
thought.
no, yeah.
I
I was
think
gonna
St.
say
Anthony is that's the big scandal of Lisbon is like, is St. Anthony of Lisbon or St. Anthony of
of,
Cordoba?
yeah,
Be careful. They'll tell you otherwise.
yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
just wanted to emphasize, yes, last episode we were talking about the mercy being the theme of the Rise Up encounters, right? That are going to happen on Fridays, catechesis. And here's a book that I highly recommend. Anybody who wants to kind of get an idea of what does it mean about mercy, that Pope Francis wrote a book called The Name of God is Mercy. It was the book that came out during the Jubilee year, the extraordinary Jubilee year of mercy, not the ordinary Jubilee years, because the ordinary Jubilee happens every 25 years, but this one was a special one that the Pope called into action. So yeah, on this great feast, it's great that we're talking about Portugal because now that we are less than a month away, what would it be like flying into Portugal on the week of World Youth Day? That's what we wanted to kind of cover this week. We thought about ourselves like, a lot of pilgrims are kind of getting ready. By now you've already done your nine catechetical preparation sessions, including preparation meeting zero. And then you've done your 3 Rise Up encounters. You've already, hopefully by now, gathered together several times. If not, you need to get moving. And so you should know each other by name, hopefully.
Hopefully,
Your group. If you don't, you will soon. But yeah, your plane ticket is probably booked by now.
hopefully.
You hopefully, and as you see, Deacon Pedro and I are a little bit more relieved because we have also purchased our plane tickets. Right, thanks be to God, through the grace of God, we know we're going to be in Lisbon.
Yeah, we're gonna be there.
We're going to be there. So I mean, we have our daily recap shows that we're going to be showing to you guys on live streaming, and we're going to be live streaming several events. All those things will be broadcasted eventually later, but today's show, we're going to look at Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of World Youth Day week. Most groups will probably be departing from their home country, especially if they're traveling overnight by flight on Sunday or Monday, I'm assuming. Unless you're doing a pre-trip or post-trip, and then all those things. Hey,
Yeah,
you know
days
what?
in the diocese. Yeah,
More power to you. If you're doing days in the diocese, you're probably going to be already in Portugal for at least 5 extra days.
yeah.
But what would it be like if you were to take an overnight flight on Sunday, arriving on Monday? What would Monday look like for you?
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean you're right. All those transatlantic flights are overnight, which is great. It's exciting. You get to the airport like at 6 o'clock, and then your flight leaves at 9, and everybody's excited. And if you don't know everybody in the group, you will by the time you board the plane because you had to sit around and wait. Um, and then you fly all night and you sleep as much as you can, or you watch way too many movies, and then you arrive in Lisbon. Going to Europe, there shouldn't be too complicated customs or anything like that. It's usually pretty straightforward. But if you go straight to Lisbon or wherever you land in Europe first, if you're going through London or through Amsterdam or somewhere else, you will do immigration wherever you land, and then you don't have to go through immigration when you arrive in Lisbon. If you go
Only,
straight to Lisbon,
only if you are going through London, though, because don't forget the Brexit. London is no longer
oh,
under
I
the
see. I
Schengen
haven't done
zone.
that since. Yeah, good point. Good point. So hopefully you're not going through London. But if you're in transit, you shouldn't have to go through immigration. But anyway,
Yeah.
you will go through immigration, but there's not like major customs. They don't ask you any questions. They go in, stamp the passport, and they'll be expecting all these pilgrims arriving for World Youth Day. So I think that it'll probably be streamlined. It is very likely that there will be World Youth Day volunteers at the airport, even like behind, helping with immigration and making sure that maybe they even have a special line. If they're really organized, they might have a special line. I think in Panama they did for World Youth Day pilgrims to kind of get streamline you, stamp your passport, and then you go collect your luggage. Hopefully, all your luggage arrived. Um,
Yeah, and
and
speaking of the luggage, like what would you do? Like what would you recommend like for someone who's going to World Youth Day? Because yeah, that is a big deal. Like you
I mean,
probably have if you checked your bags and they don't arrive, like what would you recommend someone to be prepared for, especially with regards to that?
well, I think that you should always have at least one overnight, whatever you need overnight in your carry-on, so that if your suitcase is delayed, at least you have underwear and your toothbrush. Although you can buy a toothbrush and you can buy underwear, but if you don't have to go run and buy it, that's a lot easier. Um, so I always have, like a clean shirt, because that's the other thing. You're flying all night. You got dressed Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, and then you're arriving in Europe on Monday morning, and then hopefully you are able to go straight to where your accommodations are, but you might not be there till noon or whenever. Um, and there might not be showers. You're with a bigger group. If everybody gets to shower, then nothing's going to happen. So your group leader might decide, it's like, you know what, we're just going to drop off our stuff and then we're going to go and do something, or there might be an activity, or you might want to do mass, or your group leader might have arranged for mass for you, or for something. Maybe, I don't even know. Some World Youth Days, the youth festival events. There are some youth festival events already happening on Monday. The youth festival schedule for this one is not out yet.
Well, we do have a schedule, but there is no
No, not a
it's just an
specific
arrival
schedule.
day.
Yeah, the specific schedule is not out. But there might be events happening. There might be things happening that you might be able to do on Monday. Excuse
Be a
me.
good day to also
So
check out the city. Doesn't hurt.
no,
You
exactly.
have
So that's what I think most people do, is like you kind of sort of get your bearings. That's what
yeah,
we do when we arrive. We spend one
absolutely.
day just kind of getting your bearings. If you do need to do some shopping, maybe it's wise to get some granola bars or some water or something. Um, that you might want to do that on that day. Get settled. Don't I would not plan a super heavy, busy day on the Monday. Um, get to bed early, but don't nap. Stay
Well,
awake, try to get on the right time zone, and don't stay up late, but go to have dinner and then go to bed 9, 10 p.m.
a lot of
Try to
people
get
don't
yourself
realize
in.
that Lisbon is on England time, so it's not on European time. So it's actually 5 hours from the east coast
Yes.
of the United States to, Lisbon. It's a 5 hour difference.
Yeah,
So
it's
you're not flying into Europe, which would be a 6 hour difference, especially if you're coming from the United States and the East Coast. The flights are also not as long.
mm,
This is the first time I went to Lisbon. I had this problem because I didn't realize that my flight was only a 5 hour flight from New York. Going there, going back is always different because going back you have the wind, and so different times. But I arrived in Lisbon. Most likely, groups who are taking TAP or other airlines might arrive as early as 5:30 in the morning.
yeah,
Like, and so just so you know, from 5:30 in the morning all the way to about 12 noon, flights are coming from the United States, right? Flights from Europe vary. The earliest flight from Europe, I believe, is coming from Madrid or from Barcelona or Valencia with EasyJet or Vueling or TAP, and you're probably getting in around 9 or 10 in the morning. So it's not that bad for someone coming from Europe because it's only a 1 hour change. But from the United States, you're looking at 5 hours. From Australia, like
that's
they
a whole lot longer.
they're you want to talk about overnight flight? They have a pretty long haul to get there. I think the furthest pilgrim that I know of is coming from Hawaii, and they're going from Hawaii to New York, which is an 11 and a half hour flight or 12 hours. And that's just to New York. And then there's an
Yeah,
extra 7 hours to get from, or 6 hours, depending on which airline you fly, which will get you to Lisbon at, really early. So that's a 19-hour flight. I think they got to be more than the Australians, unless you're coming from Tasmania or Wallis and Fortuna, one of the islands in Fiji, let us know. I'd love to know. Like if you're coming from Fiji,
Yeah, how are you getting
how
there? Yeah.
are you getting there? I'm curious. And what day are you arriving? Because
Yeah.
Deacon Peter was right. On Monday, usually should be a day where you just get your bearings. Go out and get yourself a pastel de nata or a pastéis de Belén, which is it's one of those really yummy custard, inside with a little pastry, leaf.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good pastries. Maybe don't do too many of those on the first day because
No,
it's
no,
just a
no.
lot of sugar. Um,
You're not going to be able to process all that on the first day either.
But yeah, I mean, I do recommend, I mean, this is anytime you go to sort of overnight flights, is try to get yourself on the right time zone right away.
Yeah.
If you start napping, like at 4 o'clock, you're going to be tired, you're going to be sleepy, but hopefully there's enough going on. You're walking around, you're getting your bearings, you're visiting places. Um, and, but if you're a group leader, don't plan a super heavy day uh, if you haven't yet planned it, and not a late night. Do something meaningful. Usually, I mean, if you're there on the Sunday, for sure, Sunday. So it's good to be there on the Sunday because then you can go to Sunday mass. But
Yeah.
if you're there on the Monday, I would, if you have the opportunity to find a daily mass. If you're traveling with a priest, obviously there's probably going to be mass for your group. Um, you might be staying at a school or at a parish with other groups, and there might be a mass available. So if you're staying at a parish or at a school, there will be a World Youth Day committee of that in that parish who is welcoming you, and usually they will have like a welcome dinner, and there's probably a mass and a welcome dinner, and maybe there's even like some Portuguese folk dancing or something, and hopefully they won't keep you up too late.
And your
Um,
pilgrim kit will also be there. So that's the other thing that we need to make sure people
that
understand.
yes,
Your registration is not necessarily at a central location like they did in Germany, where it said everybody has to go here, or what they did in some
in
other
Sydney,
locations.
yeah,
Sydney, they did that too. But
and
in
it was
but
chaos.
I don't know, in Sydney, if you were in the outskirts, the pilgrim kits were already there.
Yeah, they should be. So if you're staying, if you got the simple accommodations and you're staying at a school or a church or with families, I don't know if they can arrange that. But even if you're staying with families, the central location is the parish.
Is the parish?
Uh,
That's correct. The same
and
place where
so
you
your
most likely
pilgrim
will go to
kits,
catechesis, right?
exactly. So your pilgrim packs or kits, the backpacks should be there, and that Dario's right. That'll make your life a lot easier. If not, if you're staying in a hotel or a bed and breakfast or you got an Airbnb, you're gonna have to go, or at least one of your group. I wouldn't take the whole group.
No, don't take the
One of you will go to wherever the registration site is to register, get your passes and the kit. Sometimes, again, in Panama, I think they had it organized this way where there was a location really close to the airport. Toronto did the same thing, where pilgrims would arrive at the airport and then get bussed because there were World Youth Day buses there, bussed to a location very close to the airport, get everybody registered, everybody got their backpacks, and then they get bussed into the city to wherever they were going. So I don't know if Lisbon will encourage people to be taking sub. Is there a subway from the airport?
There is. I mean, it's literally right after you get out of the airport, you'll see the subway station right there. So you'll see the underground as soon as you get, I mean, seriously, as soon as you get out of the airport where it says exit, you're going to go out and you're going to see the chaos of different taxis and different
Oh, it's going
organizations
to
and
be
people holding
chaos.
signs.
Yeah.
And, you'll see the World Youth Day volunteers, but get out of that airport as soon as you can, find the exit doors, and you'll see the metro station is right there. And that's the nice thing is like, if you know how to get to your location, just go straight there. If you're staying at a hotel, you like Deacon Pedro's mentioned, you will need to go to one of those central locations. You most likely will not have a bus that will transfer you there. But the nice thing is that there
Mhm.
probably be, hopefully, and I'm praying that they do this because I have no idea, and we will never know until the week off, because that's how sometimes things work, right? Where there's like several locations, and you're just gonna have to pick one
Yep.
that's nearest to you, and they might have already assigned that to you, right?
They
They
should be if they
assign it.
were yeah, if they were very organized, they would have it assigned because you
Yes.
can't just show up somewhere and that's not where they have your group stuff.
Yeah, because you imagine showing up to that place and it's like, now you're about 20
Yeah.
miles that way.
Yeah,
Thanks a
so
lot, you know?
and it's too bad, I apologize actually that we don't know, and
Yep.
but I suspect that people who registered as pilgrims are getting that kind of information, And there is more and more information coming out of the World Youth Day office for people who are registered. But I mean, as media, Dario and I, we still have not been approved as media.
No,
Uh,
no, and most
I
likely we'll
think
be
it's after
approved at the
July
last minute.
12th, they're saying.
Something
So,
like that. I mean, I already got an email from a friend that said, "Don't worry, everyone's going to get approved." And I'm like, oh, I hope so because I don't want to be in like that anxiety stage
yeah,
where it's like, do I get everything I need to ask for? But I mean, but then again, when you
yeah,
get your
yeah.
when you get your pilgrim kit, everything will be in there. Don't worry
Everything will
about
be there. It's usually, again, for people who are very, how politely can I say, type A personalities that really have to have everything really organized. And if you're a group leader, you're probably that personality because that's how you ended up being the group leader. Um, this is a great opportunity for the grace of surrender and trust, because
it.
you might
Amen.
not know what's happening until you land or until the day before, until so trust that it'll all fall into place. Even if you don't know, like you get on the plane, you might not know what's happening, but once you get to the other side, there
Yeah,
will be volunteers there at the airport that you can ask questions. These volunteers will speak English and other languages, um, and they might be directing people to take the subway, the
yeah.
metro, and that might be crowded and might not be your best choice, but just trust that things will fall into place and you will get to where you need to go and you will get your pilgrim kits, and you still have another day, Tuesday, before the madness really begins, to also get your bearings and get pilgrim packs and other things.
And let me
um,
add something to that because if you are going with an organization that has planned it all for you, let's just say, for example, you decided to go with one of those tour operators
right,
who
with
will,
a tour
who
guide,
will
yeah.
do everything, right? And regardless of who the tour operator is, they're the ones who registered you. They're the ones who are going to pick up your pilgrim kit. They're the ones hopefully giving you your transfers from the airport to your lodging location, if that's what you guys organized. But if you did not organize that, this would be a great time now to study the metro map and figure out what you need
It's a
to
good
do to
point.
get to your location.
And even, I mean, you might be with a group and there's only three or four of you. Maybe there's only five of you, and you thought, "Hey, I can take a taxi." You can.
You can
So
Uber it too.
yeah, you can. Yeah. But those are the kinds of things that you can find out right now. I'm sure you can take a taxi, find out more or less what that flat fee is from the airport. There should be a flat fee so that you're not getting scammed.
Yeah.
And whether you should tip or not. There's all those. I think that the tipping is not right. It's like Italy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
no big
obligatory
tips.
because even in Uber, I think there's always like a minimum
Yeah,
charge for
yeah,
Uber. And then I only took Uber when I was in Portugal because it was more convenient than finding a taxi because you would rarely find a taxi. They're never are available. But yeah, I mean, tipping is not obligatory and they don't require it, nor they will ask for it. So if you give it to them, good for you, but it's not required.
yeah. But you were shaking your head when I said about a flat fee
Yeah,
taxi
there's
from the
no flat
airport.
fee that I know of because I've never
No, eh?
had a
So they
flat
metered
fee.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, they meter it by distance.
And
Um,
so was it like if you're going right to sort of the center of town where the cathedral is like 40 euros or
oh no, way less than that.
no?
Maybe like
Oh,
15,
okay. So it's
20. You shouldn't be paying more than
okay.
20 to get into city. Now, if we're talking Italy is a different story, my friend. Like
Yeah,
they
Italy's like
will charge
50,
you
yeah,
a
but
flat
Italy's
fee
further
because
away.
they're
So the
fighting.
no, you're right. But the airport in Lisbon is, I mean, I've been looking at the map and it's hard to tell kind of what's around the airport, but it seems to be fairly close to the
Very
city.
close, very
Very
close.
centrally located. Yeah.
By metro, you're about half an hour by metro, but they include all the stops, right? To the center of the city. So if you're going to Cage de Sodre and then eventually taking the train to Cascais, like you're going to be taking a half hour metro ride. It's not that bad. I mean, you have to consider
Yeah.
going down there, getting your ticket, getting on a metro, all the stops, and then getting out, getting above the ground. And when you get the metro ticket, be careful because obviously, like the Pilgrim kit will include metro rides. But
Yes, they
if you're
should.
arriving on that
It
Monday,
might not include the Monday. Yeah.
it's not including Monday.
It's
And
not for sure.
so that's
Yeah.
something that that everyone should know. Like, unless you've already grabbed the Pilgrim kit. If you already grabbed that Pilgrim kit, it should have details there. But from my understanding of it, it never includes Monday because
It's
that's the day
Tuesday to
people
Sunday.
arrive and you're on your own that day. There's
Yeah.
no events for World Youth Day being held that day. So therefore, World Youth Day does not cover the Metro ticket. But
Yeah.
Monday, like we've said, Monday is just a simple day. Like it should be an arrival day, should be a bearings day, should be a relaxed day. If you want to take a city tour, take a city tour. If you want to
Yeah.
go on a boat ride around the marina so you can see the
Yeah.
water, you can go.
Go
I mean,
visit the cathedral.
yeah.
Yeah.
You visit the cathedral again later. I mean, especially during World Youth Day. But
Yeah.
I know there'll be a
It's
lot
good
of
to
more
get your
people there.
bearings. It's good to find out, like,
Yes.
depending on where you're staying, maybe you want to see where those events for the Thursday, the Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday are at Parque Eduardo, the
Right.
Edward the Seventh.
Or Parque de Encontro. Don't forget. I mean, it's got a new name,
Oh,
right?
Parque de, yeah, I know.
but
That's
but
right.
but you also have to look at like where are the food options? Like,
And food, that's the other thing. So, do we know what Lisbon is doing in terms of food? They're
they
doing
will
tickets or
they'll
credit
do
cards?
tickets like they did in Panama
The tickets.
and the tickets basically. So they're not doing what Rio did. I still
They're
think Rio had it.
had the best. Yeah, it worked for Rio. I don't know if that
That
would
was
have
just
worked
me, though.
down in
That's just
Lisbon.
me. But they are very conscientious of the fact of how much money goes to these restaurants, and is money thrown away by just these cards. And so they want to make sure that the money is given to the right proper place, the right amount, and so on. So that way,
Right. So,
no one
yeah,
loses.
exactly. So you will have again in your pilgrim kit, if you got the meal option, you will have tickets. So, uh, I don't know, depending on where you're staying, it may or may not include breakfast. If you're staying with a host family, obviously it won't include breakfast. If you're staying at a parish or a school, they'll give you breakfast there. But then lunch and dinner, probably starting on the Tuesday, again,
Right.
not on the Monday. Uh,
I would say lunch starting on Tuesday for sure.
Yeah, lunch and then on the weekend, yeah, it should include everything. And then there will be specific restaurants with stickers or some sort of signage saying, el menú del peregrino, pilgrim menu, and it can be hit or miss, depending on the restaurant. But I know Madrid, we had like some great meals,
Yeah. Oh man, I,
with
I
that
still
with that
remember those
pilgrim's menu.
gazpachos that we had.
Oh my gosh. There was one place that we found in Madrid, and you'd get like a 3 or 4 course meal with that
Yeah.
pilgrim menu that was supposed to be like €5
Yeah.
for lunch or
And the
something. So I don't know.
tapas. Oh,
I think that they didn't quite figure out what they were supposed to be
the
doing.
shawarma that I had there. Oh man, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
And another for another time. But Monday is a pretty simple day. It's pretty
Yeah.
self-explanatory. Get to bed early, get some sleep early because Tuesday is a long day.
Yes.
Let's hit Tuesday now. So Tuesday, August 1st.
Yeah,
Right?
so
First off,
Tuesday, and so I would look at Tuesday backwards. So the main World Youth Day event on Tuesday is the opening mass or the welcome mass. The Holy Father Pope Francis is not there yet, so the mass is presided over by the Archbishop of
Patriarch of
Lisbon.
Lisbon, Clementi. Yes, that's
Exactly. So he's the host of
yep.
this World Youth Day, so he will preside over the mass. But it's the first official World Youth Day event. I don't know if we know exactly what time that mass is yet, because that schedule is not out.
Oh no, we do. It's so yeah, it is out actually.
Is it?
It is. So they say around 5:45 or 6 p.m.
Okay, but see, that's what I mean. So around 5:45 and 6 p.m. to
Oh,
me
to
is
the
not.
exact time, no, because
To me is not the exact time. Okay.
they gave us journalists like a block schedule, and they said 5:45 or 6
Oh
p.m.
yeah,
Start
exactly.
the
So
match.
it's
Remember that? So that it was kind of like, okay, so good, we got that information, and then most likely the mass will be over by 8,
yeah,
7:30 to 8 tops. That way anybody can go to dinners, and then that night is the first night of the youth festivals or the music
yeah,
or
exactly. So you,
counters, whatever they want to
yeah,
call them,
and
and those
again,
start around 9 p.m., 8:30.
exactly. So that's kind of working backwards, and there might be some youth festival events before the opening mass.
Right, the City of Joy is open. I meant to say the City of Joy is open.
Will it be open on
So is
Monday, the City of Joy?
yep, the City of Joy. Not Monday, just on
Not
Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday.
So on
So City
Tuesday, the
of
City of
Joy
Joy opens officially, and youth festivals will start at 12 noon that day.
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, right? So you'll have the opportunity starting at 12 noon to visit some of those youth festival sites, especially if they're doing an afternoon event, or
Yeah,
if their churches are open in the afternoon, you want to go visit. Maybe there's a display, or maybe there's some, visiting the relics of a certain saint. Those are open on that Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Maybe you
So,
might
and
you might even have your gathering for your national bishops
that's
conference.
what I was going to say. So two things. So we haven't really spoken about City of Joy very much, but in other World Youth Days, there's a vocations fair, they call it,
Yep.
or a reconciliation park. I think in this case, they've put them all together. In Panama, they were all together in the same park as well. So there will be a vocations fair. There's the reconciliation. And there might be other booths, not just
For
vocations with
movements. Yeah.
congregations, but there will be movements. That's also something to do, to look at. There will be lots there to do, and there will be events. There are youth festival events around those displays as well. You can go to confession. And then, as Dario mentioned, a lot of the countries, I know Canada, the Canadian National Gathering will take place on Tuesday afternoon in one of the parishes. I'm not sure where, although they do know, they just haven't advertised yet. So that will happen if you're traveling from Canada. Your group will be invited to that event. I know the U.S. gathering is taking place on Wednesday.
On Wednesdays.
I'm not sure when the Australian one is taking place, but there will be. It's common that every country, usually every Episcopal conference, will have a little bit of gathering for their pilgrims, and it's common that that gathering takes place outside of the World Youth Day week. So that's why it happens on Tuesday. It might be happening on Monday, for some of you. So
Yeah.
depending on where you come from,
And when you
your
arrive, of course.
your
Yeah.
country will be hosting something. And then also movements and associations, net ministries, they might have a net gathering, or Focus might want to have their own gathering. The Neo-Catechumenal Way might have their own gathering. The Focolare might have their own gathering. The Charismatic Renewal might have their own gathering. Opus Dei might have their own gathering. So all these movements, associations, all these groups, they might also be having their own gatherings. And those should take place Monday, Tuesday, before World Youth Day starts.
Absolutely. Wednesday would be the latest because Wednesday there's no
Wednesday will be the latest.
evening ceremonies. What time would you recommend then pilgrims to make their way to Parque de Encuentro for the opening mass?
Well, again, it depends on how far you have to travel, but I
Is now, but see, here's the thing too. There's not a section. You might be in sections. We don't even know yet. This is something that
you should be in
I
a
have a question.
section.
Will there be sections for young pilgrims to be
There
in, or
should
is
be
it going to be open for
no,
everyone for the opening mass?
there should be sections, and registered pilgrims should be in the front sections, and those sections are reserved. Everything going well. I mean, Panama we thought was going to be completely chaotic, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
There was no need to be there more than an hour before in Panama. You got in,
Be
you
careful
got
though,
your
because
spot.
security though was long. I mean, in Panama had very tight
Was it long for security? Because
Yeah. Especially because I think a lot of pilgrims don't realize that it's going to be like airport screening. You're going to be going through metal
but
detectors.
again, it's not. So even if the Pope is not there, even
Even
on the
if the Pope
Tuesday.
is not there, that's what they did in
Okay.
Panama. I don't know if they're
Okay.
going to do that in Lisbon, but be prepared. We're not living in a time where, it's not uncommon to see this. It's very common to see now
Yeah.
the security measures very high, and it might not be for the mass. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I also want to make sure people understand, like, be prepared for security
Yeah.
screenings and
If
don't
you
complain.
think, I always say, if you think that you need 2 hours, give yourself three. Like, give
Yeah.
yourself that extra hour just for travel, for the subway to have delays, for the subway to get shut down and you have to walk. Like, give
Yeah.
yourself extra time to get there, for someone in your group to have to take a break. Give yourself that extra time, and then if you're there 2 hours before, that should be enough time
It
to
should.
get you into the park. And then once you're in the park, you can sit tight, and there should be some events happening on that stage 2 hours before the
I
mass
would
starts.
I would also recommend that if you are there that early, that please, please, please make sure you wear a hat.
And
It
bring
will
water.
come with a pilgrim kit. Please make sure your water bottles are full. Please make sure you also know where the nearest bathroom situation is, because if you're there for a lengthy period of time before the mass starts, and then the mass starts, and then you're not going to be able to move around between sections. They might close it off for security measures, and especially for communion's sake. Like, there's so many chaotic things that could happen. But you got to be prepared for the worst case scenario. The mass is going to be beautiful. It's going to be great, but it might be hot. And right now, like, I'm looking at the weather in Lisbon, and you're looking in the high 70s Fahrenheit and in the mid 20s Celsius. I don't foresee it going any higher than that, considering where Portugal is located and where Lisbon, particularly being right by the
Yeah,
water, is.
I
Um,
don't think it'll be hot.
don't be too concerned with the heat, but you never know. Like I would always have, some snack items. What's your favorite card game to bring with you? I mean, I would bring
Yeah, there's a guitar, bring a guitar.
a guitar.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. There's always lots to look at. There's something happening
Absolutely.
on stage. There will be something on the screens. There's masters of ceremonies. The MCs are guiding. So even if you're there 3 hours before, there's probably something already happening on
Yeah.
stage, kind of youth, quote unquote, youth festival ish. Um, And yeah, you just made me think, Dario, since you were talking about liturgies, how they're gonna organize liturgies or communion, we're not sure. But the one information that they do have on the website is communion for celiacs.
Right.
So there you go. If people have needs with gluten free, that will be available opening mass and final mass.
Well, it'd be low gluten. There's no such thing as a
Yeah,
gluten.
yeah, yes, low gluten, but it's the
I
gluten,
always have
quote
to tell
unquote,
my even
gluten
my
free
parish
host.
priest, he's like the gluten-free hosts are over here, and I look at him like every time, thinking, "Hey, Father, what
Yeah,
flour is gluten-free?" That is,
no, they know, but the people
yeah.
the people who use them know what
Yeah,
we
they
mean.
know who you guys know who you are, and then you will have most likely a dietary sticker on your, pass
Exactly.
that tells you that
Exactly.
those meals would be provided for you, and you can look for them. I mean, I look, I think like Tuesday is going to be a blessed day filled with graces because that's the day you actually get to really experience the pilgrimage. You start walking around. You start maybe you can start with
And
confession.
that's the day when you really starts feeling like World Youth Day because even
Yes.
for I think that most of the even if you're there on Monday, you might not really see that many pilgrims necessarily walking on the streets, but on Tuesday, all of a
Ooh.
sudden they're all there because the ones that are doing days in the diocese might not be arriving till Monday night.
Yep.
Um,
And maybe they're on the outskirts. They're not going to make their way into the city when they don't have to.
exactly.
Um,
They might just come in on Tuesday.
yeah, the flags alone, I think, are going to be the most. For me, it's always the flags. When I see the flags,
Yeah,
I'm in
that's it.
awe of like the how many countries, how many languages, the different cultures that are there. That mass will be very, very impactful because the words that are spoken at that mass will set the tone for the week. And I think we'll probably have to just stop with Tuesday because we're already out of time. And I'm just thinking like to give a little insight on Tuesday, like that after that mass, you will be so charged for the week that it'll be a mass to remember. I remember like
Yeah.
Poland in Krakow when they were singing Jesus Christ, You Are My Life, and I was thinking back of year 2000, and I just got moved because I remember John Paul II loved that hymn, and he would with his very weak, frail body, he would raise his hands up and wave it back
Yeah.
and forth with the pilgrims in Rome in 2000. And the same thing in Panama, where all the hymns were sung, and then the
Yeah,
in Panama
that's
was sung. I was
tradition.
like, wow, you just connected all of those years, and here I am, like in Panama. Just what an amazing. And then even the words of the late Cardinal Pell in Sydney, Australia. It echoed, and I still remember. That's something I went up to him and I said, "Hey, a couple months before he died, I said, hey, out of all things I remember most about Sydney was your quote. The one mission is greater than 1,000 options.
Yep.
Like, woof, like these are things you'll remember.
Yeah,
Soak it
exactly.
all
So,
in.
and to that point, so you might think, oh, we have like a 2 hour travel back to our accommodation. I would not rush out of the mass venue. Take your time. Take your time. Obviously, you don't want to stay up all night either. Um, but take your time but make sure that whatever you do, the last thing you do before your group goes to sleep is have like a little check-in.
Yeah.
Everybody give them a chance to kind of share, even if it's just everybody share one thing that they heard or that moved them or that they're excited about, and close with prayer before everybody goes off, lights out for the night. Because Wednesday morning is going to be also a busy day. You got catechesis the next day, right off the top of the morning. So
That's a great point. It is very important to check in with your group often.
yeah,
And just me because worldyouth.com is sponsoring a Tuesday night event. Before you
yes,
go far away, go to the Church of the Martyrs where the relics of Blessed Carlo Acutis are going to be. It's going to be called the Carlo Acuti Center, the spelled center for those Canadians, because, you know, the CERTRE, not center like the rest of the English speaking world, because, you know,
That's how we write it, no?
that's right. But the best part is, like, we are going to have an amazing concert in Holy Hour with Father Rob Gallia, or one of our former guests. So come on down. I mean, we'll live stream the event too, but it would be so good to have you guys there on Tuesday night before you go back. And like Deacon Pedro said, yes, you will need a good night's sleep, because you will now be in full World Youth Day mode
Yeah.
starting on Wednesday.
And
And
you're gonna be kind of pumped anyway. And maybe
yeah,
the last thing I'm gonna say, and I thought of this when it's like there's something that you click in your brain and you tell yourself, okay, I'm not gonna sleep a lot this week. I'm not gonna eat exactly what I want. And I think you kind of like psych yourself up for the week so that you know that things are gonna be different. You're not gonna sleep a lot. You're gonna be uncomfortable, but you're gonna be okay. Like you're gonna wake up super early in the morning and you're going to be fine. You're going to have cold showers or no showers, and you're going to be fine. And then you can worry about, catching up on your hot showers and your sleep when you get home the next week.
and remember that flight, you can sleep on the flight. I mean, goodness, out of all things, right? Yes, and yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Don't complain. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy
Yeah,
the moment.
enjoy the moment. And
Yeah.
as you're a group leader, know that that's part of the experience for your group. Let them enjoy the moment. Let them be open to kind of the spirit moving this way or that. Don't be too fixated on your schedule. Um, uh, I think God kind of throws us off kilter every once in a while. That's a great one of the graces that come with World Youth Day. You'll be pushed a little bit, so that you're a little uncomfortable. And if you're one of those people that really needs the schedule's really important, that you have to be on time, that you can't, maybe this is an opportunity for you to be a little more flexible.
And my friends, that is all the time we have for today. We covered Monday and Tuesday of World Youth Day. In next episode, we'll cover Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, adding the 3 catechesis and the main events of the welcoming of the Holy Father and of the Via Crucis.
Hmm.
The third episode, so there's 3 parts to this. The third part will be Saturday and Sunday, which is a heavy duty days. And we'll talk about those as well. But from all of us at worldyouth.com and WYDcentral.org, thank you so much for joining us on this show. Keep following up to what we're doing. Please follow us on YouTube and on the SoundCloud so that you can get access to all these videos and all these recordings and more. Thank you guys for joining, and God bless you.
Yeah, see you in Lisbon.